Salute, salute, salute. What's happening? So, Paulie Malignaggi says that Vasily Lomachenko won ultimately because everybody wanted to see the white guy lose. First of all, I don't know specifically what race Paulie Malignaggi is. If you was to ask me, the man looked like a motherfucking blobfish with them fucked up, fucking fat ass, pink, pussy ass lips. Get the fuck out of here. Paulie Malignaggi, I never thought he was a good fighter or a good boxer. This man was getting dropped by Conor McGregor, the whitest white guy I ever seen fight, besides maybe Ricky Hatton. Look, man, he said some other shit too. He said some dirty scumbag shit. He was like, only dirty scumbags thought Devin Haney won. Something in that realm of Paulie Malignaggi logic. First of all, I think he says shit just to try to, what they call that, like shock value, or he tries to say shit that's real shocking and polarizing to get clicks and to get people to, give him attention. He said some other racist shit before. And he even said some little slight racist shit before where I kind of was like, I kind of give him a pass because he said the shit so slick. He said the shit so vaguely, you really couldn't put your finger on a post to say if he was really being racist or if he was just trying to be objective or if he was trying to be whatever the fuck he was trying to be. I do not care. The way he said this shit is just plain to read when he says dirty scumbag and they wanted to see the white man lose. Look, man, when he used to fight, he used to have a wide stance. Flat feet, flat-footed, no footwork. Paulie Malignaggi, to me, looked like one of those type of individuals. Like I said, I don't know his race, but you could tell deep down in his motherfucking veins, he wished he was a black person. I don't never really judge people by their color. Not off the rip. I try to give everybody their fair shake and then judge you by the content of your character. But I can still see and call a spade a spade. You can watch Paulie Malignaggi as he progressed as a person. You could see that he went through his little phases of, being a damn, what they call that shit. He was trying to imitate certain images. He was trying to be something until he found what was working for him. And you could tell a huge part of him, maybe not totally, but there was a huge part of him. You could just see, obviously, he wished he had more soul, had more melanin, had more swag. You know what I'm saying? Had more blackness in his body. He wished he could embody what black people do have naturally. Even some of the lamest, nerdiest, most cartoon from, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, even that shade of black still has a little bit more soul, a little bit more charisma, a little bit more flavor, a little bit more rhythm, a little bit more athletic ability, and a little bit more power, And I guess if you really want to go there, Paulie Malignaggi, a lot more dick than what Paulie Malignaggi has. And it's showing you that this shit wasn't even about race. For a lot of people, it was just about boxing. I didn't really hear a lot of people trying to make it into no race debate. Like, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, that tried to be about boxing, but that shit had to go about race. It just had to. This didn't have to go about race. This was really more about young versus old, but skill for skill. Nobody really was the heel. Nobody really was the villain. Nobody really was the bad guy. And it didn't have to play out like nobody being a bad guy. At the end of the day, it was a little bit more. Devin Haney was just a little bit more younger and eager, and a little bit more frustration made it came out in his body language, and his demeanor got a little bit more aggressive. But at the end of the day, this wasn't no good guy, bad guy thing. This was just a boxing thing. More of a young versus old. Race didn't really have to come into play. Pre-fight, during fight, or post-fight. So for Paulie Malignaggi to try to make it into a race debate shows you what kind of a fucking slime ball he has become, where the only way he can make this something that's worth people listening to his point of view, instead of just keeping it boxing. And if he kept it boxing, people would respect his opinion about boxing, because he do know how to talk about boxing. Kind of like Max Kellerman. We've seen him go through his little, what they call a wigger stage, where he was trying to be Vanilla Icy and shit, and Eminem-y and shit, and trying to do the little pencil thin fucking, and trying to have a little bit more swag. And we see him outgrow that shit and just become a little nerdy ass Max Kellerman. And you can respect him talking about boxing because you know what he's talking about sometimes. And Paulie Malignaggi was in the same vein. You really couldn't box, you really couldn't fight, but we accept your boxing opinion because as an analysis, sometimes you be on the money. Just like Timothy Bradley be saying some lame ass shit. I can't even stand listening to Timothy Bradley, but when he say something right, and I can agree with him. When he say something that's bullshit, I just disagree with him. You can take the message and lead a messenger. But when the messenger is coming with this whole bullshit ass racist, blatant racist, just to get people to listen to me type of bullshit talk, take that blobfish shit and go down to the bottom of the motherfucking ocean and get ate up by a megalodon. I don't give a fuck about your opinion. This shit is nonsense. If some people think Lomachenko won, it's because they liked his style a little bit more, because of his punches being sharper, crispier punches that you can see. And they not really just paying attention to all the little body shots and other maneuvers that Devin Haney might have did to edge out the opinion of the judges. If Lomachenko lost, it's because it was a close, competitive fight that people felt like Lomachenko was doing flurries and wasn't taking the whole round. And then when he had a strong second half of the round, it evened it up. But Devin Haney still managed to, draw the line in the sand on the 12th round and not fold and not give away the fight. And it held his ground enough for him to get the decision. But it didn't have nothing to do with race. Because if it did have something to do with race, Devin Haney would have got robbed. That's common fucking sense. If anything it had to do with was money. If you really want to go with the robbery theory conspiracy. I don't land on the robbery. I don't agree with the decision, but it was a close fight that could have went either way. You can argue both. You can argue for Devin. You can argue for Loma. I'm not going to argue for neither one of these motherfuckers when it come down to the come down. It is what it is. Great entertaining fight. Devin Haney got the nod. Leave it at that. Paulie Malignaggi, the last video, you're going to never hear me speak this motherfucker name.